I've always claimed Disney Dreamlight Valley as one of my all-time favorite games, and I'd still say that even today. After all, my entire YouTube channel up to this point has been a shrine to my adventures in the valley, everything from inhaling star paths whole to designing festive areas and one-of-a-kind outfits. But the truth is that at this point, I haven't played DDV in a good long time, and I don't know when I'll ever load up my valley again. I'd never say never. But at this point, I'm just not playing DDV anymore, and there's a few reasons why. So I'll talk about that, and if you stick around, I'll also talk about what this means for the future of the Valley Spot YouTube channel. So way back when, in the first months of DDV's early access period, I was playing every day without fail.
Off with you now. Lots to do, lots to do.
I had to find my daily moonstones, tidy up my valley, collect flowers and gemstones, buy out Scrooge's shop for sure, and just vibe with my favorite Disney characters. I also became the self-appointed queen of pumpkin puffs. However, as it tends to do, life got in the way. There was a long stretch of time where I wasn't playing DDV or any game for that matter pretty much at all. When I was finally ready to pop my gaming mouse ears back on, I realized how much I missed out on that I probably would never get a chance to experience. Like, for example, the star paths and getting all the rewards, I missed plenty of them. I can't explain how much it pains me that I wasn't able to earn my own Pixar Pal-Around Ferris wheel or a red panda onesie. But it's not even just the rewards. Maybe it's just garden variety FOMO, but I am really motivated to play by the sort of rush of burning through a star path as fast and frantically as possible. For whatever reason, completing each task in every star path ever made kind of felt important to me. Maybe it's just a classic case of completionism, but I had a hard time logging back in and locking in those losses as fully realized. On top of that, it meant a lot to be able to experience the new updates and additions to the game alongside the rest of the community. And maybe it feels a little silly to say this, but I felt sad on missing out on a big chunk of that. Another thing that kind of dampened the magic a little was the announcement that the game would no longer be free to play upon its full release. Until that announcement, it had always been planned for Disney Dreamlight Valley to be free to play with optional purchases that would support the game's development. Because I personally was so in love with the game and so eager to play it, I didn't mind paying to get early access and start sharing my adventures in the early days of DDV. But a lot of people were eagerly awaiting it to be free. I think Gameloft, or whatever powers that be, probably felt they had to make this change, and while I don't know what their reasons are, I'm just going to assume they had them. I can't fault anyone for doing what they probably felt like they had to do, even if it is super disappointing. But nonetheless, I personally felt really bad that unwittingly, I was kind of using my YouTube channel as a place to further build excitement for the game's release and giving people the impression that one day soon they would have their own free valley. It didn't feel good that that was taken away so long into the early access period. Of course, I realize it's not my fault that the game pivoted like that, but basically I couldn't shake the feeling that I had really raised the bar of anticipation for some folks, and now they were let down. Now that a good amount of time has passed since then, the game is still around and still getting new updates that look fun and exciting, at least to me. So maybe it was the right decision all along to pivot to paid, but I guess I'll just leave that up to those of you who stuck around to decide, as well as those of you who actually never played because they were counting on free. Beyond all that, I think the final blow for Dreamlight Valley for me had nothing to do with the game itself, and everything to do with me just making a big mistake. When I was finally getting back into the swing of things after a long break, the one that I mentioned earlier, I filmed one of my signature Star Path hybrid speedrun and guide videos. Specifically, it was the Haunted Holiday Star Path from all the way back at the end of 2023. I greatly enjoyed making those videos and sharing them with my YouTube viewers, but undeniably, these Star Path videos were a process and a bit taxing to make. Anytime a new Star Path came out, I would pretty much only eat, sleep, and play Dreamlight Valley. I'm not complaining, but I'm just giving you context to the crushing disappointment I'm about to describe. So yeah, after loading the humongous amount of recorded footage that I took for completing the Haunted Holiday Star Path into Adobe Premiere Pro, I realized the audio tracks were completely messed up. I spent more time trying to fix the audio and get the video edited than I did even completing the Star Path itself. And because if you've played, you know star paths are pretty time sensitive, by the time I was even on the cusp of figuring out a plan B to get the video finished, the ship had pretty much already sailed, and there wouldn't have been much point to finishing it and uploading it for the folks who were hoping to, actually use it as a guide or just something to watch while they worked on their own star path duties. So basically, I had finished all the tasks, explained all my strategies, collected all the rewards, reveled in them, decorated with them, and then when it came time to finish the job, it felt like tech difficulties had just slammed a door in my face pretty rudely. So after everything else that had happened up to this point, it felt like the world was just kind of telling me it was time to hang it up.
Goodbye now. Toodaloo.
It felt like so crushing to try and play at that point. So that's basically everything that happened, but what are my thoughts about Dreamlight Valley nowadays, and what's next for the Valley Spot channel? Well, first of all, let me say that I still think it's a great game. I look back on my time in the Valley and my time making videos about it as some of the most fun I've had in gaming, which is saying something since I've been playing games since I was old enough to hold a controller. Do I think you should play it? Yeah, if it looks like something you'd like. A lot of people have made remarks on what they like and dislike about Dreamlight Valley, so I'm sure you can go find a lot of detailed opinions if you're still unsure. So I'll just point out something that I don't think gets talked about enough. The characters in DDV are what really brings the magic. They're so believable as Disney characters, the ones you grew up loving. The writing really brings them to life, and with such fidelity that you'd almost believe the characters came to life and wrote their own dialogue and storylines. I feel like I can tell the writers who worked on this game did their jobs with a lot of love and a lot of effort. The dialogue is so good, I only wish they had even more things to say. So yeah, if spending time in the Valley decorating, shopping, and vibing with those characters sounds like a good time to you, you're probably gonna like it. I'd say give it a whirl if it's in your budget. I know the whole world is getting really expensive these days, so I'm somewhat hesitant to recommend any unnecessary purchases. But I guess if you're going to buy a game anyway, this might be a good one if you like Disney, you like cozy, and you like an overall relaxing experience. As for what happens next to the Valley Spot channel, I'd actually like to start uploading videos to this channel again, but probably at a much slower pace than when the channel was in its prime. That's just what's manageable for me right now. Maybe that can change in the future, but I don't know. Either way, I think mostly there will be primarily cozy or cozy adjacent gaming videos. I have a few thoughts on things I'd like to make, but I don't know if I'm ready to share them just yet because I'm still in the pretty early stages of figuring it all out. I suppose it can't hurt to ask what kinds of games you're into right now so I can at least check them out and see if they'd be a good fit for my plans. So please feel free to share what you're into right now in the comments.